Hey everyone, and welcome to the Dirt Life. My name is James. This is Liam. We own Yard Dogs Lawn here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Do about $2 million in sales per year. And this channel is dedicated to help other lawn care entrepreneurs take wherever they are, learn from our mistakes so that you can grow your lawn business as big as possible. We have not done a video in a while, so this is going to be a very generic recap on our 2022 season and how we've done so far in 2023. Liam, why don't you kick us off there? Tell us a little bit, very general rundown of how 2022 went.
Yeah, well, I think 2022 was an absolute disaster. So it was one of our hardest years, and it was like the highest revenue year by far. Like we had our highest revenue. We hit 1.1, 1.2, right, up from I think 800, 900 the year before. But we had so many growing pains. Like holy crap! Like I think we made more money in our first year working out of our parents' garage with like maybe 50, 60, 70, 80 grand revenue, right? So
because there's profits and there's revenue.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the difference between those two things?
Well, obviously, like revenue would be like the revenue that you earn, right? The work that you perform. Whether or not you collect the cash on, that's important too, right? But whether or not you collect the cash on, anything that you go out there and actually perform the work for, that's declared revenue. Okay. If you're following the accrual accounting, right? Which we are. So that'd be the revenue, and then whatever you keep after that, we call it before, usually net profits after taxes, right? But operating profit would be like what you profit before the taxes there. So last year I think we were negative 150 for profit. So we had 1.2 million in revenue, but negative 150 on the profit, which is pretty crazy because every other year, even when we were like working out of our parents' garage, we were at maybe 50, 60 grand revenue. And then maybe we kept half that because we had absolutely no overhead. And it was me and you, right? So it's interesting to scale the revenue, but then how the profits, when you're at that $1 million, can really be really hard. And I truly believe that when you're between that probably $800 to $1 million, or even maybe 1.2, that is by far the toughest part because you're big enough where you need the overhead and you need the shop and you need that scale to be able to like really grow, but you don't have enough revenue to really be able to justify like those costs, you know? So to really grow past that, I feel like it's a very tough kind of bottleneck for a lot of entrepreneurs there.
And obviously 2023 is completely different. Sure. Revenue is up, but even more importantly, profits are completely different on a different planet than what last year was there. And we'll get to that in a little bit. For sure, but let's stay with 2022 here. Yeah. You mentioned overhead was one of the biggest killers here. What exactly because I know every company does P&Ls a little bit differently. For sure. In lawn care, what is classified as overhead and what mistakes did we do last year where the overhead just sniped us? Yeah,
for sure. So we hired number one, we were not conservative at all with like the estimates. Like we thought that we would do actually $2 million in revenue last year. And the thing with like trying to be ambitious when you're shooting for like a budget is that if you don't hit that threshold of revenue, like you build up like, okay, so like I'm just gonna rewind a little bit. If you build a $2 million revenue business, right? Then you predict that, okay, I'm gonna need X amount of overhead staff. I'm gonna need this office staff. I'm gonna need rents at this shop and that shop. I'm gonna need this much materials. I'm gonna need this much spray tanks, many trucks. And the things that we overshot our revenue goal like last year, like significantly, we were shooting for $2.1 million like last year, and we only ended at the 1.2.
I still don't know how we came to that number. It was 2.145. It was so specific.
Yeah, exactly.
And in retrospect, I'm like doing some reverse math to try to how many clients was the average client price? Yeah. I don't know what. Yeah, exactly. I feel like we just guessed at a number there.
But a big thing was just not being conservative, right? So not being conservative with the estimates, being way too far off and being way too far ambitious, and then you bring on all this overhead that you think you're going to need for that 2.1 million, but then the issue is that you don't hit that 2.1, and that's where we really got into a massive trouble like last year. Like the overhead, we had I think 10 people in the office.
Let's go through this. We had 10 too many people almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
there
for sure.
We had 3 shops.
Yeah,
we tried to grow a bit too early. We're in Calgary, Edmonton, and Red Deer.
Yeah, exactly.
We had 14 trucks, and we were using 7
or 8
of them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's huge.
Terrible.
We looked like a car dealership. We weren't even a lawn care company. We looked like we had a Ford dealership here.
Exactly. Yeah.
We had with those extra offices, we had all this extra materials, all this extra people that we had hired. We had a
bought all this inventory that wasn't going to be used because we didn't hit the 2.1, right? So, long story short, though, it's like when you're going to estimate for your revenue for the next year, I'd really shoot to be a lot more conservative. If you want it, you can do maybe 2 kind of budgets, right? Like your very, very ambitious one, like if everything goes really good. But then you should also do a conservative one that, okay, if you don't hit the targets, if you don't do good, what will that conservative revenue look like? And then you want to follow that budget. that's one that you want to go for. So yeah, we made a lot of mistakes, but I feel like at the end of the day, we really persevered and pushed through, because last year was by far the toughest year we've ever had, by far, ever. Like to a completely different degree that I've ever seen, right? So
I think what happened too is we got a little bit cocky. The year before that, we were just in Calgary. It was a good season. You know, we
for sure.
We were a bit over $1 million still. About that 1.1
well,
or
that was
so.
with snow. That was
with snow removal. Lawn care is about $900,000, and we got a little over our heads. We kind of forgot the basics, because we adopted the mentality: if you want to be a $1 million lawn care company, start to act like one. But what we forget is that when you start a place from zero, like Edmonton and Red Deer were starting, we had that $1 million mentality. So we got the nice offices, we got the nice trucks, but how many clients do you start with? Zero.
Yeah.
And you do it one client at a time. You should be working out of a garage. You should be working out of a storage shed until you can get to a certain point, maybe 1,000 clients or so. Once you have enough revenue to get things going, because that's the way we started. We started in our parents' garage until one parent kicked us out. We went to the next one, etc.
Exactly.
That's how we start. So you have to always stay lean and humble. You want to have a very big funnel for bringing clients in, but for money going out, keep it tight there.
Exactly.
So financials were a big thing that we also improved on there. Why don't you dive deep into a little bit about what we did when it came to the financial side of things?
Of 2022 or 2023?
Well, going into 2023, where did we start to turn the ship around?
Oh, got it. Yeah. So I think it's a big thing too, is that number one, I think we definitely got a little bit ahead of ourselves. Like, just to piggyback on what you're saying right there, like, quite a bit ahead of ourselves, and we had that mentality like, okay, if you want to grow this location to $1 million in revenue, you got to act like you're a $1 million company from day one. Which I think to a certain degree is a good mentality, but I think also you got to be very realistic too, and understand that, okay, you probably don't have too much cash to be able to do that from day one, right? And you got to ground yourself of like, okay, damn, you just got to start from the garage and work your way up, you know? So I think you got to take the best of the both worlds. You don't want to be not acting like $1 million company, but you also got to make sure that you are realistic with like what you can actually project. But anyway, moving on to like the financials, I think one big thing that I would commend ourselves like for like last year is taking absolute and utter complete ownership of everything. Like, I think to a certain degree we could have blamed and I'm not blaming the accountants. If the accountants are watching this, we love you guys did nothing wrong. But I think some people could have said, oh, it's the accountant's fault, or oh, it's Trudeau's fault, or oh, it's, you know, the operations manager, or whatever.
COVID's fault, you know.
COVID's fault. No, this is absolutely and utterly our fault, 100%. Like, this is no one else's fault last year but ours. And I think taking that ownership and saying, like, this is our fault. Like, when you have ownership of the problem, you have ownership of the solution too.
Correct.
Right?
So it's empowering, actually, because you can do something about it if it's you.
Exactly. So when you own the problem, you can own the solution, right? And then I think we really smartened up. Like, last year, I read lots of accounting books, because we had no idea really like the statements of the financials, right? Or like what they even mean, a balance sheet, a P&L, statement of cash flows. All we really needed was like kind of what a P&L was, like obviously the profit and the loss, what do you make, but the cash in the bank. Those are the only two things that we really tracked, right? We had no idea what a current ratio was, working capital, any of that stuff. So we really took extreme ownership. We read a lot of books. We took some university accounting courses to really get the fundamentals down of like how to actually run a business and what the financial statements like actually are. And then from there, we did a conservative budget going into 2023, right? So last year, for reference, we hit the 1.2. So, a conservative budget, I think we were only projecting for 1.5 million this year. Like, that would be conservative, a 20% growth, and then we were going for 10% net profit.
Yeah.
And then I did an ambitious goal too of, a higher amount with a higher profit. So that's what we did, and do we want to talk about 2023 now or not?
Yeah, because like what's kind of cool about it, because this won't be too long of a video. I just want to sort of go over some highlights, and then if there are some topics that jump out to you and you want us to dive more into, please drop us a comment. We'd love to get a lot more in depth on certain topics we're hitting. This is very skimming the surface here, but we're going to keep pumping out videos on this YouTube channel for you to get very specific to things. And by the way, if you haven't liked or subscribed to us, please do so. We want to make sure we can get this content right to you, and we do want to grow this channel. We want to be the go-to lawn care company for helping you with your lawn care company, learning from our mistakes so you don't need to make them. But back to the topic. So 2023, things drastically changed. We have the conservative goal of 1.5 million in production in revenue there. And right now, we're at the very beginning, almost at the mid of August there. Where are we right now?
So right now it's going a lot better. So right now we are projecting to hit $2 million in gross revenue with a 29% operating profit. Fucking right.
Exactly, man.
Let's go.
It's so funny. I'm like last year the goal was don't go bankrupt, and like that was the goal for the season. Now, once things are going well, what I found is crazy that we have more clients, we have a much higher average client price, and we're doing it all with less people.
Exactly, and we're a lot more lean, right? So like just being lean, right? Just trimming off the fat. Right? All that leftover fat that we just do not need. All the office staff, all the overhead stuff, all the office supplies, like any fancy stuff, like any stuff that just doesn't really generate revenue, strip that shit out. Like it's gone, right? So I think our office staff is half of what it was like last year. I think we had 4 people. Last year we had on average 8.
Yep.
It's half. We've done double the amount of sales. We've been able to handle almost double the amount of customers for customer service. And we've been able to run a much more leaner operation. We have 1 shop instead of 3. We have 10 trucks instead of 14, right? So all that fat, all that other extra stuff's been fully stripped off. And like that's how like this year we've been able to run, 29% operating profit before taxes. I'm going to mention that before taxes.
Yep.
At a $2 million net. So like over $500,000 in profit like this year. Yeah. And we're not saying this like to brag. We're just saying that like, like this right here, we went through some very hard times, right? And like last year we were $150,000 negative, right? And that by taking extreme ownership and really looking yourself in the mirror, like this is absolutely my fault, which it was. I mean that deeply. That you can truly take ownership of the problem, take ownership of the solution, and turn things around. But you cannot blame others. I think that's a really big thing. You cannot blame others. It would have been very easy for us like last year to point blame, point the fingers, and do whatever, right? But you really genuinely have to look yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, this is my fault. I can get myself out of this.
And now that Yard Dogs is like actually having a breakaway, like we are winning, everybody has wind here. Let's talk a little bit about profit sharing, what we've been doing with our technicians and everyone here at the company. So we implemented something called profit sharing this year. We did it on the variance of the profit. Liam, touch base a little bit on what that looks like on the back end and tangibly, how much have our technicians made as a bonus the past 3 months? Why don't you jump right into that?
Yeah, sure. So I guess like for us, we have a season of about 6 months, right? So I kind of like put myself in the shoes of the technician, be like, okay, it would kind of suck to work all 6 months and not really know where the company is at. You just go out there in the scorching sun and you're spraying lawns, and spreading fertilizer. It gets a little bit boring. You don't really know where the company stands, right? So I want to make everyone aligned with like the company goals, where we're actually going like this year. What's good, what's bad, what we can improve on. So to keep everyone on the same page, rolling in the exact same direction, we had a great kickoff meeting. And we gave them like the team or the company's goal, the 1.5 million with like 10% profit, right? It's like that was the company's goal. And then you break that down into monthly installments. So like, okay, in May, June, July, August, September, what's the revenue got to be per month? What's the profit got to be per month? And essentially, if we exceed profits for that month that we budgeted on anything, so say if we were projected to do 10% or 100 grand in profit, if we did 200 grand, we would give them 10% profit share on anything additional. So if we were actually 200 grand profit per month, but we should have been 100 grand, there's a 100 grand variance. So then you take 10% of that, that's $10,000 divided by, call it 15 employees. You got almost 600, 700 bucks per person per month additional, which 160 hours per month, that's pretty good. That's about $4 or $5 per hour extra.
It's
so if the guys are making 20 an hour, they're making 24, 25. And then to be eligible for the profit sharing, which is big too, they got to show up on time every day. They cannot be even a second late, and they cannot break any of the core values on the wall that we have here.
Yeah.
So it keeps everyone accountable. No one's rolling in late. No one's like, oh yeah, I decided not to show up.
And that's including us. Like there are times I was like cutting it close and I was sweating. I'm like, I got to make the profit sharing.
Yeah.
Flooring it down John Laurie to get back to the office there too. Yeah. But that's been huge because everybody is winning, which is a huge thing. Like profits to me, another word for profits is just options. Once you actually have profits, you have options to do things like this. But when things are tight like they were last year, it's scary, and you get into a scarcity mindset, and you don't know how to reward people because the goal is to literally just not be broke.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
So I'm pumped with how this is going.
Oh, absolutely. And I also like say too, like the guys are like they're a lot more, like they're not clocking, they're not wasting the time on the clock. They get here early, they get right in the truck. They're also on the P4P. Shout out to Mike Andes for the P4P.
Thank you, Mike Andes.
Thank you, Mike Andes. They love that, absolutely.
We will see you at the Landscape Summit, by the way, in October. We will be speaking there. If you're a Mike Andes fan, make sure you go buy a ticket to attend that conference, which will be in Kentucky this year, October 16th, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I would say too, like in addition to like them always showing up on time, not breaking any core values, like they feel like, okay, they actually can achieve something with the profits, right? So like they're going to watch their product usage. They're going to not take so much time on the clock every day, right? So like, and they're really aligned with the company goals, and then they actually know what's going on. So every single month we get coffees, donuts. We do about like a 30, 45-minute speech on like what the profits are, what the issues are, what's going good, what's going bad. And then it gets everyone on the same page. They get back in the field, they get fired up again. And it's a great intermediate kind of thing, just installments every single month of like how things are going, what's the direction, what's good, what's bad.
Yep.
Which
And there's
really
many
good.
fruits of that going on right now. We just did a survey to our technicians. We have 10 technicians right now. And it was just asking how things are going. And we asked the question at the end, hey, are you interested in coming back here next year, either to become a higher level technician or to look at service manager, an office position, etc.? And we had 7 out of the 10 say, yeah, I'm very interested. Please chat with me, which is huge, because retaining your employees is just as important as retaining customers, because it sucks to restart every year with training, rolling the dice on someone, and seeing if they're going to pan out. And also, one thing I've noticed about the technicians here that's been helping me in the sales department so much is that when the boys are out there, they are selling. They are recommending things to our customers. When they see a problem, they're actually going out of their way to talk to them about it. And that is huge for customer service. It is huge for sales. Yeah. Everyone is just on the same page this year, much more than it has in the past.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, trying to think what else we can really talk about this year, but it's been a great season this year. I'm so happy that 2023 worked out. I remember us talking like last year at this table in June or July, like a year ago exactly, and it was like, holy shit, we are in a massive hole like right here, but we knew that we could get ourselves up. So I knew that we took extreme ownership. I know that we have a good head on our shoulders. I know that we're smart enough to figure it out, and I could see the mistakes that we were making like last year to really turn things around. So
yeah. I mean, one more rant before we wrap up this video, because we're going to actually dive this into many different videos on all the things we did. Like, for example, there were changes in marketing this year. There were changes in sales and operations and financials. And we're going to make a series of videos to cover all of those things, all those growing pains we went through, so that you can learn from them as well. But I just got to say, you can't give up. There are times where things are great, but there are times when things are bad, and sometimes the bad times, they seem so much longer. But that is right before things start to change. If you really take full ownership, when it's during the hard times that you really start to question what you're doing. But if you just keep at it and try to improve a little bit more every single day, every single season, finally things will start to take a turn faster than you thought believe.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Going from negative 150 in profit to
150
negative 150 $150,000 in profit to this year being 29% net
almost
profit. Like it's
$550,000, $600,000
exactly.
This year,
Here, to put this in perspective, our accountants, last year we were one of their lowest customers, but
probably
it came
the
to
lowest,
probably
for
the
sure.
lowest.
By far,
now we're in their top 10%. They're saying less than 10% of their clients make less than $500,000 in profit.
Yeah.
Now that is huge, and that is not to toot our own horn. That is to show you. I'm not bragging at all. It was bad, and we are not going to get complacent. We're going to now turn up the heat to keep things going, and that's why we started this channel. We want to share with you guys, hey, here's the things we had to do to make that happen. Here's the things we're exploring right now, and our whole goal of this channel is to really take you wherever you are in your lawn care journey. We want to help you get to the next level as we get to the next level as well. We want to build a community where we can share our lessons learned and our wins so that we can all grow faster, because it's a huge pie out there. The lawn care industry is a huge one here in North America. We don't need to be greedy with the knowledge. We don't need to be greedy with what we're doing. If we share things together, we will all take it to the next level there.
Exactly.
So let's wrap it up for this video, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. A lot more for you to come. Once again, my name is James. This is Liam. This is The Dirt Life, and we are so excited to see you in the next video. If you haven't already, please subscribe, give us a like, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.